It's time for us to look at brush markers and which metallic brush markers do the best on black paper. And now I would say that brush markers have the hardest job of all because they need to have the beautiful brush tip. They need to have still the great metallic coverage. The metallic color needs to remain, and it needs to have great opacity. So we're going to be looking at the Caran Deco Brush set of their 10 metallic permanent markers. We are going to look at the Paper Mania set by Do Crafts and the metallic color pen set by, you know how to say this one? I'm going to go with Danau? Sure, we'll go with it because nowhere on the internet seems to know how to pronounce this. And then we have the Spectrum Noir. And while these are also brush markers, they are slightly different. So let's first take a look at our Caran set. We want to see how metallic these are. So how well does it sit on top of the paper rather than leaking into the paper? How well does it maintain its color quality? And what is the opacity like? Looking at the Caran brush pens, they definitely have that metallic quality because they're sitting on top of the page. There is not too much reflection going on, and the upstrokes seem to have a little bit less of that intense color quality than the downstrokes, probably because more ink flows out of the pen on the downstrokes than on those upstrokes. There still is obvious color differences, and some of them do tend, it seems like this green is difficult just in general, but some of them do tend to be more of that silver base than others, but there is quite a variety of colors in this set. Let's look next at these ones. That's what we'll call them from now on. These metallic color pens, and they have also really put themselves out on a limb by putting white in there. So let's take a look going through this set to see how these colors perform. So this 10 pack does write a little bit smaller than the Caran metallic markers. However, I feel like the colors just aren't true to what they should be. For instance, the white is less opaque than the silver, and so the silver would almost play better as the white. And then the copper, as it dried, the green and the light green, they just lost their color quality. The blue too, as it dries, it's becoming much more dull. However, I would say that I'm pleasantly surprised by the purple and the pink. So if this set was just perhaps the silver, purple, and pink, all for it. But the other ones seem to lose their color, and the gold just does not pop off that page. It doesn't have that color quality that you need for a strong metallic marker. One thing you could say, though you really could do it with any pen, is you could use it as a base and then go in with one of your bullet tip markers, and you already know where your brush line is going to be, so you could color it out. But it would just be really nice if it would work on one go so that you don't have to go in and color out your lines with a different pen afterwards to add that metallic quality. That's not what we're looking for, though it is a good workaround for any time that you want to use brush lettering and you maybe don't have the ideal brush pen. You can always do it with a gray, or in this case, a gold brush pen to get your line size, and then color it out with a bullet tip pen. But that's not what we want for these brush pens. We want to be able to just use them. So the last set that we're looking at is the Paper Mania Fluid Metallic Brush Markers set, and this one's by Do Crafts. It has 8 colors, shimmery colors, so it's really setting itself up, and it tells us right away on the box that it dries with a metallic finish. So let's test these ones out next. So in this set, you can see that the colors really pop off the page. I'm just going to compare it quickly to the last set that we were looking at, where you could see the paper through some of the strokes. Whereas with these ones, the color and the opacity covers up the paper down below. Now, I was so sad as I was writing the turquoise and saw it dry, and it was really losing a lot of that beautiful initial turquoise color that was there. But We knew that sometimes with these pens, because they have the silver base, the color is just not strong enough to take over. So the other colors though, the green, it kept sort of that light green. It reminds me of spring a little bit. The blue, it still has that blue element. Pink, it's an interesting pink, but it definitely has good coverage and maintains that pink. You can't really see a lot of silver underneath. And the purple, well, you can see the silver. I like the way that it looks with the silver and still the purple that remains behind. That purple, just like with the Karen markers, seems to remain in those downstroke areas. That's where the color really stays. And it is lost a little bit in those upstroke areas, where here there's a slightly darker silver in those upstrokes than here where it's a little bit of a lighter silver. So both of these sets actually have very similar colors other than the pink. The blue shows up very similarly. The purple is relatively close. The light green is very, very similar. But the biggest difference is how large the pen nibs are. There is also a silver to this set, which I'm pretty sure one of my kids has already made off with. So that's why I can't show you the silver, but silver is definitely the easiest of all of the colors to do. And I know that the silver to this set is also quite nice because I'm pretty sure one of them has shown me Cinderella's hair silver. So I would say that for these two sets, not this one, which is okay because we can't even pronounce it. But for either the Paper Mania Do Craft set or the Karen markers set, you will get a variety of colors that still look like a metallic color in a brush pen. Now I also had the Spectrum Noir pen, and these pens typically have still a clear base, but they have a glitter to them. So if you want to add extra sparkle or glitter to any of your brush pens, this is a really nice way to do it. Once it's dry, you can just come in, brush over your pen strokes to add a little bit more glitter. Now it also does add more water, of course, to your paper, so it'll look darker for a second until it dries, but then there will be a glitter component as well to your markers. So that's just a nice touch. I've used this on Christmas cards after I've done the lettering with a metallic marker, then go in and add a little bit more, and these come in all different colors of glitter. It's a very, very fine sparkle and just adds a little something more metallic to your metallic pens. Now, one thing I do want to say though is that while Karen markers are known for being watercolor markers, these ones are a different set. They are not intended to be watercolor markers. Instead, they're intended to be a large size metallic permanent brush marker. So you do want to keep that in mind when you're making your decision. If you're just looking for an everyday metallic brush pen that you can use that is not quite as large in size and has a slightly firmer tip, then the Paper Mania set by Do Crafts is probably a really good choice for you. So over this series, we've looked at quite a variety of metallic pens. We've looked at the bullet tip pens that don't need to be shaken. We've looked at the bullet tip pens that need to be shaken to mix the solution and the metallic components together. We have looked at brush pens that have that metallic quality to them. And I think at the end of the day, we can say that there is no one pen that will cover every single circumstance. Brush pens are definitely different than your bullet tip pens, and even within your bullet tip pens, the ones that you can use straight out of the box or the ones that need to be shaken also can't be directly compared. So you have your variety of nib sizes, you have some that definitely don't have the coverage that you want, and then you have others that it's based on what you're going to be writing on or even the type of gold or silver that you're looking for. If you want it to have that true metallic quality, it needs to look like it's sitting on top of the paper. It needs to be very, very opaque and even have some of that element of the light bouncing back off of the page where your pen is on the page. Because of that, many of the shake and pump pens will give you the most metallic quality, and they can also be used on the widest variety of materials. However, sometimes you just want to get that quick metallic look. And in that case, either the Jelly Roll for very fine lines or the Stabilo Pen 68 metallic set would be a good option for you. Then as you get larger, there's also the Crayola set, which has a variety of colors. You do want to keep in mind though that typically the greens and blues just don't show up as much as your gold and silver and even copper will on your black paper. As you move into the brush markers, you do start to see a little bit more in that color range, and a lot of that too is just because those downstrokes, extra ink is being put down on the page. I would say personally my favorite pens, the ones I tend to go to, are the Jelly Roll set for really small details, the Stabilo Pen 68 set because they color in really nicely, and then I am typically grabbing my Craft Smart for gold metallic, my Maltov for silver metallic, and that's the liquid chrome, not their acrylic paint, and then the Sakura pen as my other gold and silver options. I really like the Sakura extra fine tip in gold especially because it's hard to find that extra fine tip, whereas the Maltov has that same extra fine tip for their liquid chrome pen. So typically I end up using that one for a silver option. Now, as you move bigger, you have some pens that really don't have the coverage that you want, and then some other options with slightly smaller brush pens and slightly larger brush pens. And that was the Paper Mania set by Do Crafts, and then the Karen brush marker set, their permanent metallic set. There are quite a variety of metallic pens, but it always depends on what you're going to be writing on, the coverage that you need, and even the type of gold that you want. So while I wish I could say to you, this is the metallic pen to use, at least now you know the different metallic pens that can work for you in different instances on different surfaces. Hopefully with that, you're armed for your next metallic pen job to know exactly what pen will work for you.